Dear brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ, today's passage is a classical and very elegant passage that contains a beautiful message and a structure of a healing. It happens a leper who was considered as untouchable, outcast, who has to wander outside a city and in their camp, in the caves or in the desert, is coming, breaking open everything, every crowd, and comes and meets Jesus. He is not following any protocol. And even it is as equal to the pandemic situation that we are having now. So if I have COVID, if I come to you, what you will do? You all will, just if I am coughing and if I am coming, definitely all are going to run away. The same way, I do think, when that leper broke open that crowd and reached Jesus, except Jesus, all must have gone at least 3 to 4 meters away. The crowd is circled and Jesus is in front of him and he is kneeling down and he implores, if you are willing, let me be healed. With the humility he asks. Jesus in return, out of compassion, it's a Greek word, spinina. I don't know whether I am pronouncing it correctly. That Greek word that means he was moving from heart, lungs, liver, and all the intestine. The whole part is moved with compassion. The whole being is moved with a pity for that person. With that, he looking at his eyes. Today we celebrate the Valentine's Day. Even Jesus was also with love, compassionate love. He looks at that person today and says, yes, I do desire, get healed. And that person, it's a peculiar and a classical of Mark. Immediately, at once, he get healed. Dear brothers and sisters, in this we can derive two beautiful lessons. In our need, when we are in trouble, the entire universe, even our family, may desert us, but Jesus is always going to be with us, holding our hands and tells us always that I am with you. You will be always, get my mercy. Also in the second part, that person, the leper, with the humility he asks, he is not demanding to Jesus. Of course, Jesus has compassion, yet he says, if you are willing. Dear brothers and sisters, sometimes what we think is whatever the blessings that we receive from God is our privilege. But we must remember, it's not our privilege, but God's benevolence. In spite of our sinfulness, he comes to us and he is out of compassion and love. He gives us the blessings that we receive. The second part, today the leprosy, though for a few centuries and even millennium, leprosy was a hype, and it had a threat for the livelihood of human being. But today, the science has proved, and the science is helping us by saying it is under control. How come this passage be relevant to us today? It may not be relevant to us physically or literally like a leper getting healed, but it also symbolically still it is valid for us today in our spirituality. When we think about the leprosy in itself, it is a disease, you may be knowing it, maybe I may be repeating it, but for my point, I try to derive. For this is a skin disease. It starts peripherally in our skin, and if we are not treating it in time, it slowly destroys our peripheral nervous system, outside brain and spinal cord. The destruction of the peripheral nerve system results in the loss of sensations. The very moment we lose our sensations, it gradually destroys, deforms the tissues, and it results in the loss of body parts. They tell to that extent, even when a leopard is walking, he has no senses. He cannot feel his body, just like, walking the dead body like he walks. And even if his fingers are leaving from him, he may not realize it. This, when I had an experience of leprosarium in the first year of my priestly formation, in the evening, when the sister in that leprosarium, she met us and told us about her experience, and out of which she was mentioning this one. Still, I remember this. Why these people still get affected? Still, we have many people, leprosy people, still suffering. They lose their body parts. But we have enough and more medication. But what she told us was, if they are able to address this issue in the beginning, when it is in their skin, when they have the symptoms, it is easy to be cured. But if it affects their peripheral system out of their ignorance or out of negligence, it may affect their body parts, and it may result in their death also. Dear brothers and sisters, this leprosy, this disease, implies our spiritual leprosy today. Though we may not be affected physically, but you just to reflect over it, our spiritual life today, especially this generation, it slowly, they try to say there is no God. Or sometimes, why do I need God? Once we don't treat that, their being itself, it is not that they can have a better life. Of course, we have many disciplines available, but the spirituality is the base of our being. And it may go up to the extent of denying our existence as the children of God, child of God's sons and daughters. So this leprosy may lead us to have a sense of no love, no compassion, no obligation for others, no forgiveness. These things may end up in the whole society to be a leprosarium and having no feeling for the humanity itself. And at last, before I finish, in the end of our passage, if you read, it says, this leper returned to his family. He was praising Jesus and he was proclaiming, and it is a homecoming. The leper who was wandering in the desert, in the caves, and in the camp is now able to return back to his own family, homecoming. Jesus is felicitating that. But in contrast, for Jesus, the person who was with the multitude, who was always surrounded with a crowd, now at the end, he is going outside, going to the desert, and he is making sure there is nobody there. Dear brothers and sisters, Jesus is ready to pay any cost if we will be saved, if we will be healed. That it is only a small sample, but in Calvary, he gave us the perfect sample. He gave his complete life for us. Even today, he is ready to, save us at any cost, because He is our compassionate, loving God. He is our Father. So with the trust, anytime, any situation you are in, no, I am a great sinner, I may not be forgiven by Jesus, I am in a great difficulty, God may not give that much effort. Never ever think that, because we are His children, and at any cost He will save us, because He has already shown us a sample in this gospel as well as in the cross. He has given us the perfect sample. So dear brothers and sisters, as the leper got healed today, let us also have the hope. It is a classical structure for getting healed from Jesus. With the humility, let us approach Him. With the compassionate love, He comes to us. Amen. Let us all stand and profess our faith. I believe in